Lit Fest for having me here and Dr. Nandita Iyer for letting me pick your brain today. I begin by saying that food is not just fuel for us humans, it's something that we form memories with. And I would like to begin by asking you, Nandita, about one memory that you have, good or bad.
Okay, that's a nice question to start the session. Thank you, Vidarbha Lit Fest, for having me here, and I'm truly honored to be a part of this superbly organized Lit Fest, focusing on nonfiction and inclusion as the theme for this year. Um, so yeah, I think my earliest food memory, growing up in a Tamil vegetarian household, food was not like the top of our mind. Like I often talk to my, Gujarati or Marwari friends, and they tell me that when they're eating breakfast, they're thinking about what to eat for lunch, and when they're eating lunch, they're talking about what to make for dinner. But that was definitely not the case in my house. Food was very like matter of fact, it had to be eaten, and nobody was obsessed with food. My earliest memory is like anything special or a treat was something to really remember. I was brought up by my grandparents, and my grandmother would make like the very regular idli dosa, for tiffin, and sambar rice and sabzi for lunch. Like it was very basic kind of food. And But only when I went on school picnics or something, she made aloo parathas. So for me, that as much as aloo paratha is like a very basic thing for most North Indian kids, for me that was like a treat. And I would always praise her that you make these so well. And she would tell me that I know you were just trying to boost, because it was not her core competency, to be honest. So she would often tell me that you're just trying to praise me and boost my confidence so that I make this more often. So that is my, like even today when I make aloo paratha, I remember her very fondly. Although it's no longer a treat for me, it's kind of regular food now, but it brings back my childhood memories.
That's amazing. I don't know, there's something about aloo paratha. I was going to say the same thing. That is what it is for me also, and it brings memories of my grandmother to me. I don't know, what is it about aloo parathas? Nandita, what is the kind of food that now that you touched upon it since you're at a million, what's the kind of food that you grew up eating since you guys were also in Bombay, I think?
Yeah.
And how has that changed now?
Okay. Yeah, so see, growing up with my grandparents and as a 70s kid, there was not so much exposure. I don't even remember going out and eating a Chinese food or Italian food or anything. It was very basic, and at the most, it used to be very Bombay style, something like pav bhaji or something like that. But at home, every day the food was very much Tamil food. And so much so that I was very fed up of it. And I would tell my grandmother that when I grow up, I'm never going to eat idli and dosa again in my life. And guess what I had for breakfast today? Dosa. I think it just comes to bite you back. All the things that you swear off when you're a kid. Practices like adding hing to sambar and all that. And I would hate the taste of hing. And today I love it. And the same goes for gingerly oil or sesame oil, which was liberally added to idlis and dosas, and I would hate that flavor, and today I love it. So I think it's something in the genetic coding or a nostalgia that makes you feel good about eating the things that you ate as a kid.
Amazing. Let's start by talking about your journey. You studied medicine and nutrition, and then you went on to write your blog, and now you've written 4 books. How did this foray into writing happen, and was it something that you planned? Were you always inclined towards writing?
Again, going back to the 70s kid cliche, in our times, if we studied well and we scored like over of 95% and whatever, it was always like you had to do science. There was not even a debate of, and kids who like got 70 plus, they thought, okay, we'll go into commerce.
Not just 70s, I'm an 80s kid.
No, I mean, yeah. So it was like hardly any choice. It was very marks dependent. The kids who scored the highest marks, you go into science. And even in the highest marks, if you score really high, medicine is the first choice. Then it's engineering and then something else. Or even in medicine, then you probably go to dentistry. So it was very, like these roads are set. It's like you're driving down this main road of Nagpur and it shows this, the the directions board says go left for here, go right for here, and pretty much our career paths went that way, or what we studied. There was no thinking about, is this right for me, or am I good for this? It's just that you scored well, so you better become a doctor. Even though, to be honest, there was no family pressure on me. Nobody in my family is a doctor, so there was not like I have to go manage my father's clinic or my grandfather's practice or any such thing. But it just went, and I thought, yeah, okay, why not? And I also tend to go with the flow. I was not much of a rebel. So I just said, okay, let me study medicine. And, after that, I even went to work in a hospital, but things went awry there, and some things happened which made me change my decision. And I thought, this level of stress is not for me. And I was always a lot into reading and writing. Right from when I was a kid, I used to, I don't know if kids today do that, but I would write a lot of poetry as a kid, something that I totally lost touch with as an adult, because as an adult you have much more levels of self-doubt, and thinking that this is stupid poetry or writing horribly, which we wouldn't say that to yourself as a kid. So I think I explored all that a lot as a child, writing and reading both. So then I think after I quit practicing medicine, I was always in touch with my subjects. I would read up the latest research papers, and I was writing for Men's Health for the longest time, Men's Health India from its launch days. And and during that time, like in my late 20s, is when I actually started cooking. So then I thought, let me keep a record of what dish actually turns out good. So that's how I started my blog, because I thought if I just wrote it on scraps of paper, I had the tendency to lose things and put it all around the house. So I thought if I put it on a website or a blog, it will be there for me to access whenever I want, and I can actually go and repeat the dishes that turned out good. That was my only intention of starting my blog in 2005, 2006. And there was no such term as food blogging in those days. I just used the blog format to keep my recipes, that's it. But then slowly that whole cycle, and people, it became a popular thing to be a food blogger. People started taking better and better photographs, and people started doing SEO, and it became a big business kind of thing. What I just started as a very personal digital diary of sorts. And then, of course, I was doing a lot of freelance writing in the space of food and nutrition. And then, the books were to happen at some point. It's just that my first book happened in 2017, almost 10 years, over 10 years after I started blogging. And then, since then, there have been 3 more books. So today we are talking about my second book, Everyday Superfoods, which came out in 2021. Bang in the 2020 or 21, I'm not too certain. But yeah, quite in the middle of the COVID pandemic. But it's not something that was pandemic driven, but I used to be researching on the subject a lot over the years. So this is pretty much a culmination of several years of trying out different kinds of foods, trying out how to include superfoods in our everyday diet, and also trying to bring in a lot of latest research about these things, all these ingredients that I have spoken about in my book. So it was a very long process, and I'm sure I'm trying to be brief, and so this is the short of it. Yeah.
That's very interesting how everything just came together.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do not know the larger picture of things, what things
Yeah.
are going to turn out to be in, from blogging to writing. Lovely, lovely getting to know. Talking about this book today, Everyday Superfoods, why did you choose to write about superfoods in particular?
Superfoods are the much abused term in today's food space and in marketing and branding. Go to a supermarket, or you even check out Amazon, you will see literally anything and everything will say superfood enriched. But just spend a second to turn that packet around and see what the ingredients are behind. You will never pick it up. But it's just become such a marketing buzzword. In fact, in my book, I've written how it was superfood. The first usage of superfood was sometime in 1930s or 1940s to describe a bottle of wine. And then a Jamaican newspaper actually wrote about superfoods in the context of muffins. So it's just that I mean, it's been abused even in those days. The start of the term itself was a marketing gimmick. But now it's literally during COVID, it was the heights where, a water purifier saying that this water we are adding superfoods to boost your immunity, shirt fabrics to boost your immunity. I mean, there's a limit to which you can stretch this whole, superfood thing and immunity thing, and that was just so much. So I thought that it's important to uh, put some light on superfoods, but with some balanced approach, not like treat it as some magic ingredient that you eat. You start gobbling up turmeric and you will never get cancer for life. Or if someone is actually suffering from cancer, you start eating pomegranates and green tea and this and that, and you can reverse it. It doesn't happen that way. Uh, Food is the gentlest path towards good health. It's not a miracle drug, and it is something, it's a long term approach, and you have to, be gentle and be persistent with your efforts, and which is when it has some impact on our health. So, but in today's times, moderation is never sexy. These are the videos that get millions of views on YouTube, are the ones that say, hey, drink this pink tea and lose 20 kilos in 2 weeks. But if I say something in moderation, that video won't even get like 200 views. So I feel it's also the internet fueling this whole kind of, crazy ideas, unverified, unscientific, and even put forth by people who have not even studied science, let alone medicine or nutrition or done any research in this space. It's all clickbait. And I think to combat that, I wanted to write a book which brings some kind of balance, a lot of science-based facts, verified facts to the audience who's really interested in understanding how to improve their health.
Yeah, I agree. And at the end of your book, you have these citations where you can look up these articles. Talking about how the term has been misused, I was talking to Nandita yesterday, and we were discussing how I saw, since I've been researching about the book and reading up stuff, I saw kajal that was being marketed as superfood kajal. This is how much this term is being misused. I want to talk to you about how the internet sometimes makes these superfoods out to be things that are just very expensive, like blueberries and goji berries. Whereas when I look at your book, you talk about avla and things like our humble lobia. Those are superfoods that we discuss in the book. Do you think that in order to be healthy, things have to be so expensive? These are the ingredients that are going to make us healthy, or it's just the internet scaring us?
Yeah, that's a really valid question, and that is the everyday part of the title of my book, Everyday Superfoods. Now, you can't possibly, blueberries, no doubt they are good for you, but 100 grams costs around 300 rupees, and 100 grams you get like a handful. So how legitimate is it to tell people to eat blueberries? And when you Google for top 10 superfoods, because the US based websites have been so active in this space since the last 20 years or plus 20 years, the top result you will get, the article you will get will be from some US based website, which in that listicle, the top one will be blueberry. But our own amla has the antioxidant score, which is 50 times, has more antioxidant potential than blueberries, at like not even, it's like 100th the cost of blueberries. And the beauty being that in our culture, somehow we have figured out that amla is good for us, even though no scientific papers were available many years ago. But the number of ways amla can be preserved. It's dried, it's made into murabba or chunda, it is made into supari, it is preserved in honey. So knowing that the amla season is so short, there are so many different ways that we can even preserve it, which don't require any fancy apparatus, dehydrators and whatnot. Sun, honey, or basic make a pickle, which is all like every village home can also do it. It's nothing so fancy, right? So these methods are there. And that's the reason my focus was on these everyday things that we can eat. Of course, by all means, if you can buy blueberries, eat blueberries. But don't think that to stay healthy, I have to eat that, and that's the goal to health. So I think we need to simplify these roads towards good health a lot more than just complicate it or fear monger that, hey, that is not good, or, you made this yesterday and it's been in the fridge, so today it's toxic, don't eat it. Boss, if you have made it at home from scratch using wholesome ingredients, the very reason fridge was invented was that these things are, can be kept for 2, 3 days as long as, you've kept it in a proper sealed box or whatever. So make your lifestyle in alignment with your goals in simple ways. Don't complicate everything so much that you just can't, then you're just going to order from Swiggy and eat, which is 100 times worse than anything else you can do at home. So don't choose extreme measures to pursue a healthy lifestyle, and that's the whole goal of my book, is to keep things really simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the avla recipe, the avla and brine in the beginning. I think it's so simple, and half of the year since you do not have it available, I'm totally going to do it. I absolutely love that.
So that's just amla and salt water, which used to be preserved in homes all along. So then you could use it all year round. You just pick up that amla in brine, and then you can make a raita with it. You can add it to your salad. You can make amla rice with it. And it just tastes all the more better than eating that sour amla by itself, the raw one.
Talking about fear mongering, like you said, and also the fact that in India, we like to eat our food. We put a lot of stress on eating food fresh, and by fresh, I mean things that are to be eaten should just be made 5 minutes before you eat them. Otherwise, things that have been made for lunch, do they become nuclear waste by dinner? Because that's how we treat it at my house. This was in lunch, I'm not going to touch this in dinner. So like you said right now, do you think that's the case? Because a lot of times on the internet is going to tell you now that you've chopped it, or the nutritional value has gone down. Now that you put it here, so do you think this is just...
So, I think on the internet, only these kind of extreme propositions get maximum eyeballs. If you say, ये खा लो, इससे कुछ नहीं होगा, उससे किसी का excitement level बढ़ता नहीं है. You have to provoke, you have to troll somebody, you have to say something drastic. Then people, whether positive or negative, they will share with 100 other people saying, ये देखो इसने क्या बोल दिया. If you say normal basic things, nobody is going to share with someone saying, ये देखो इसने क्या बोल दिया. So I feel that whole attitude towards saying such things, like, a friend had made a video on this, that, the fridge is meant for preserving foods. So yeah, I left a comment there which said that if it for men who are cooking 3 times a day fresh food, this rule would have become extinct long ago, So, like they say, in that whole abortion, fiasco in the US where they were banning it. So that's what they said. If men were getting pregnant, then abortions would be conducted in an ATM. So it's that, it's the whole patriarchy and gender that's baked into this, where it's like the woman of the house is cooking 3 times a day, then yeah, she better cook it, because what else is her job, right? So then that is the only food that is the freshest for me, that is the best food, and that is the healthiest food. And it's surprising that women themselves have bought into this patriarchy, and now they'll tell their daughter-in-laws that, hey, you have to do this because this is the best thing. So this has to be broken, and the onus of staying healthy, cooking good food, it can't be on the women alone, which is also I've written about it in my book, where India is, even among all the BRICS nations, India has the worst score in terms of the number of hours a woman is working inside her house. It's the pits, actually. So just putting these kind of rules makes it all the more tough for women to do these kind of things. So no, I think as long as you're within the rules of food safety, where you've not put some wet spoon into something, or you've not left it outside on the counter, food in the fridge is absolutely safe to eat. And things like meal prep, which I have written about extensively in my book, say you have to cook a brown rice or you have to cook rajma, etc. It takes 12 hours of soaking, especially the rajma, then it takes cooking. Brown rice takes a slightly considerably longer in the pressure cooker to cook. So why not make 2-3 portions and keep? So like, why not peel some pomegranates and keep in your fridge? So when you have to make a salad, you have some beans, you have pomegranate, you have some other condiments, you can just mix it all together and literally make your salad in 5 minutes. Now you can, if you want to make a healthy salad, you're not going to say, now let me start cooking the brown rice, now I'll soak the rajma, wo salad banega parso fir. You can't expect things to be ready instantly. So I feel this whole aspect of meal prep, when I had done this post on Instagram, it was hugely popular. People loved it. But one person had to come and say, but what about the prana in the food? So I said, boss, like, really, I have no response to this, this question. Because, of course, if you are in a very, like, a position of privilege where you have someone, some 3 cooks and 4 helps to do everything, good for you. Follow that. But for that, don't shame or don't fear the other, or don't scare the other people who don't have the access to those kind of help and they want to still eat healthy. It is definitely fine to eat this kind of food.
Yeah, because in the end, you're just going to say, Swiggy kar lo yaar, bas.
उससे तो better है हाँ
Okay. In the first chapter of your book, you talk about one's relationship with food. And talking about relationship with food, do you think social media has changed our relationship with food? And if you do you think that it's made it more accessible, or do you think that it has distorted our view of food?
See, the internet and social media has definitely played a big role in making information easily accessible to everyone. But it's also played a big role that anybody can create that information without any credibility. Now, in the older times, only if someone had a degree or expertise or kind of a PhD in a certain subject, then a publisher would, accept their proposal and make them write a book. The thing on the internet is that I can just write whatever I want and hit click button. I can make any video I want and upload it on YouTube. I can say absolutely anything I want and put it on Instagram. And if I'm popular enough or if I'm an influencer, some 100,000 people are going to come and like my post. And I've done my job of spreading that misinformation to 100,000 people. Even though I have no expertise on that subject. It's like me trying to make YouTube videos on how to launch rockets in space because I have no idea. But I have internet connection and I can Google some random information, I can put it together and I can upload it. And if I already have an existing fan following, everybody will say, wow, 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 what amazing thoughts. And this is what happens in this. That's at least rocket science, and nobody can do, like, random people can't do that. But in the space of food and nutrition, everybody who can cook a meal or everybody who lost 2 kilos of weight themselves, they consider themselves an expert. And or anyone who's even visited a doctor, in India, there's this practice. Arey, yeah, I just got that prescription. You take that drug, it's perfect for you. I'm sure everybody has heard that, right? Even, I'm not even talking about simple things like cough and cold. Even for more complex diseases, people want to spare you the visit of, spare you the, option of going to a doctor, and they'll say, this is what I was prescribed. I had exact same symptoms. You also take this. I'm sure in COVID this happened a lot. So I feel, and why take our health and the food and nutrition so lightly that you will just take random information from anybody and, take the chance of messing up the most valuable resource that we have is our health and our life. So I feel you have to be very careful about where you are taking the information from. Is it a verified source? Is it a credible person? Because a random influencer or a poster on the internet has nothing to lose. They have they don't have a degree that they may lose, or they don't have a reputation as a doctor that they may lose if they put that thing up, right? So I think it's also to see what's that person have to lose by posting this. But you have everything to lose by following random such food and nutrition advice. So you have to really think for yourself that you care for your health, so you have to follow, certain best practices and not fall for these internet traps.
Yeah, it's literally what we live for, food. And I think the internet may.
Sorry, so your question was on the relationship of food, and I just digressed. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so there's so much information out there, and with every new diet we read about or we try, our relationship with food gets a little bit more damaged because ultimately we start seeing food as just macros. We start seeing food as this has iron, this has calcium, this has whatever. We stop looking at food as a whole. It's like, a super specialist doctor, he will only examine your that particular symptom or that particular organ. He's not going to look at you as a patient as a whole, because that's something a general physician would do. But similarly, you have to start looking at your food as a whole and not just as individual nutrients. Food is much more than the sum of these nutrients or the ingredients. And secondly, we start fearing certain foods. We look at people, look at roti and rice and they say, oh, I haven't gone to the gym, I have not earned this today. Or they will look at something else and say, this is not good for me. So I feel it has damaged our outlook towards food, and we are not being mindful about what we eat. We don't know when we are full, we don't know when we are hungry, because we're just eating, snacking sometimes through the day. We are following certain random diets. So each such thing, it shakes up our foundation, which we are born with as babies. So as babies, we just cry when we are hungry, we drink milk or whatever, and then when we are full, we stop crying. So those hunger cues and our body's response to thirst and hunger, we have kind of lost along the way. So I think that very basic thing needs to be rebuilt, because our human body is beautifully built, and our body will tell us when we are hungry, when to stop eating. But if we are looking at something, or we are distracted, or we are watching something on Netflix and eating, that stomach to brain signal is not going to work at all to tell you when you are full and when to stop. So these very little things, I think we need to go back to, because in addition to knowing what to eat, what to include in our diet, we also need to relearn how to eat.
I've been cute that our time is up. I have prepared a rapid fire. Can we do a rapid fire? Just three, four. Yeah, quick. We'll be really quick, Nandita. Are you ready?
I will try to be rapid.
I
I'm
don't
not
have a
sure.
hamper, unfortunately. Okay. One recipe that you tried that turned out to be a complete disaster.
Um, Happens a few times, because like if you keep experimenting
Yeah,
in
sure.
the kitchen, the disaster that happens to me a lot is food getting burnt, because my kitchen is on the ground floor, and I do all my work from the first floor. So sometimes I'll just think that I've reduced the flame, and trust me, sometimes it's just like I come back to see that it's fully turned black.
Oh
And
my God.
sometimes it's just like the a moment of turning around and looking at the other side of the counter, and I'm listening to some podcast or scrolling through Instagram, and I've forgotten that something is there behind me. And of course, if it starts smelling, I have a sensitive nose, thank God. So if something is burning that badly, I can smell it if I'm in the kitchen. But it happens to me a lot. And the funniest thing was, once I had kept gajar ka halwa to be made. So I had put grated carrots and milk in the kadai and slow gas pe rakha tha. And I was around the kitchen. Then my neighbor asked me to come out for a walk. So I went out for a walk. A good 1.5 hours later, I came back. The halwa was ready. Thankfully, the bartan was very thick and the flame was very low, तो कुछ जला नहीं. So ऐसे भी होता है कभी कभी.
Favorite Indian, regional Indian dish?
Uh, it's tough to pinpoint a dish, but right now my favorite it's vegetarian Bengali food, because I was in Kolkata recently, and although I also cook a lot of Bengali vegetarian food at home, and I think it's truly a delightful mix of bitter flavors, sour flavors, and pungent flavors like mustard oil, and I truly love that.
International cuisine that you think has left a mark on your cooking? One.
I'd say Mediterranean, because I love making salads
I
and
saw your
stuff.
Mahamara recipe.
Yeah. So anything Mediterranean I love that.
Your view on calorie counting?
Uh, Works initially, of course, but not sustainable.
Your favorite book or movie related to food?
Most recently, I saw the menu on Hotstar, and it's
Okay.
it's food/horror. That genre is something I haven't seen before, and the way it unfolded, it was like I could say I didn't expect that's going to happen. So do watch it. It's called The Menu. It's a movie and it's not a series, so it won't take that long of your time.
I can keep asking you questions, but I don't think I should be so greedy. So let's open this session to our readers, people who want to ask Nandita questions.
Curry leaves. Yeah. Yeah, my cousin.
It's economics.
My cousin who lives in North Carolina, she sends pictures of a bunch of curry patta and says, I paid some $5 for it, and I shudder.
It's just good for business.
What according to me is the health? Means, okay. Wow. So I'll answer the second question first. So of course the WHO definition of health is complete physical, mental and social well-being. But we often look at only our physical health and say that, hey, I'm feeling fine, I'm pain-free, I don't have a cough or a cold and I'm healthy. Or I don't fall sick often and I'm healthy. But I honestly feel like if physically I'm feeling fit enough to go about all my day's activities and challenge myself a bit more, like in terms of a workout or something else, or I'm not out of breath when I climb multiple staircases, or I'm able to run, I'm able to walk my dog successfully. My dog is like 35 kilos, so if I'm able to take her around for a walk without panting, I feel in good health. So to each person, what does healthy mean to you is a very personal interpretation, depends on your age, depends on how fit you are, depends on your gender. So, but yeah, you can make it in sync with the WHO definition of health. And the second thing you said, how can I compare myself? Uh, how healthy I am today versus tomorrow, right? So a lot of one way, of course, to is to know how you feel, and that's very a personal interpretation, and you are the best judge of that because no doctor can look at you and tell you how you're feeling. Like, am I feeling more energetic today? Am I able to do my walk faster or things like that? Those could be some parameters. But there are also, of course, lab tests which tell you, has my cholesterol profile improved? Has my hemoglobin levels gone up? Is my iron levels okay? So those are the lab ways of telling if you're getting healthier. Yeah, lovely question. Thanks.
I just want to interject. I want to know how old you are. 13 years old
How
and
lovely.
learning to boost your immunity. That's great. That's great. Next question, please. Kindly introduce yourself so we know your background and who you are.
Hi.
My question to you is, since we have been speaking about social media and many influencers trying to put in a lot of information. So recently I came across a post in which they mentioned that someone was mentioning that the combination of palak and paneer is not good for the
Yeah,
health.
that is the current trend
Yeah,
of
and
misinformation.
I felt really scandalized because I have been eating since childhood, and I love it so much that even I named my cat Palak. So
Oh, how cute.
And you're also dressed like that today.
Yes. No, absolutely not. It's again.
how do I, for someone should deal with this kind of a situation?
See, honestly, I think one, you should never interact with such a post because then all this algorithm will keep showing you similar posts until you go crazy and you cannot figure out what to eat for your next meal. Because kalka khana not allowed, doodh not allowed, palak paneer not allowed, dal rice combination mein kuch hai, millet is an anti-nutrient. ऐसे बोल बोल के there'll be nothing left for you to eat. So please enjoy everything in moderation. And palak paneer is an astoundingly nutritious dish, great in protein. Okay, I'm getting again some cross connection on the speaker.
Foil, it's some frequencies matched.
Okay, so yeah, absolutely not. I think don't even bother leaving comments or calling out these people because you're just giving them encouragement. Pause. Yes.
We get to listen to both the sessions
We're
together.
getting to hear all the
Yes.
sessions together.
I'm also
What a great
I'm
learning
able to attend the other session thanks to this.
as well, us as well.
Can I quickly just add to what you said here because I've read Nandita's book. So she says that do not eat anything that your great great grandmother did not eat. I think if your ancestors were eating that, I think it's safe
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah, although my ancestors weren't eating palak paneer, but I trust my North Indian friends'
I'm
ancestors
fine
were
here.
eating.
Hello, ma'am.
This side,
Yes,
right side.
hi.
I'm Rani. I
Hi.
teach biology. My question is, you just mentioned the word proteins. Okay. So, at high temperature, the denaturation of proteins takes place. I would like you to enlighten me about that. And related to that, I would like to know uh, how to eat eggs.
Okay.
And how is it related to the denaturation of proteins?
See, if obviously if we can't eat a raw egg and you cook an egg, obviously the protein is going to be denatured. That's the way of cooking. That's like how when you cook rice, the starches get gelatinized and all that. That's the process of cooking any food. That yeah, it's just denaturation is a way of cooking. So it's the process in which the protein gets cooked. Similarly, if you can't eat raw meat, if you can't eat raw eggs, or if you can't eat say raw chicken, then the protein has to be cooked, and there's nothing wrong. Denaturation only means that the structurally it's changing. It doesn't mean that it's getting bad or it's bad for you. The word may sound a bit, difficult, but it doesn't mean anything negative. It is a process. It's like we say saponification is the process in which oil is converted to soap. It's not turning into anything bad or dangerous. So that's one. And how to eat eggs? I don't get your question. Any which way which you like. I don't know what anything specific in that. I didn't quite. Okay. No, absolutely. Please, there is that. That's not a bad word or a scary word.
I think they're fine even after you cook them.
Yeah. Yes.
Next question, anybody? Okay, from here, sir.
There was a whole wave of veganism 10 years back. Now there's a whole wave of carnivore diet. That is, you only eat meat-based foods because
Yeah.
they base it on the fact that human brain actually shrinked in size 3,000 years ago. So, what's your opinion on the carnivore diet, where you eat plants, but take away the grains part? Because majority of Indians are anyway grainitarians. We are not vegetarians. Like we eat very less vegetable anyway. So what do you think on the carnivore diet, that you only eat meat and some vegetables to do away with the vitamin C deficiency?
I am kind of turning anti-diet. So when I see the word diet, my brain shuts down because, see, anything that you get on, is it going to be sustainable? Now, are you going to be able to eat, not enjoy grains, not enjoy? See, if you absolutely hate grains, feel free to omit it. But I think for most Indians, grains are comfort food, be it in the form of a rice or a roti. And food is not just nutrition, and it is not just calories, and it's not just macros. If someone told me don't eat rice for the rest of your life, I'll go mad. So I feel it's a lot of comfort. A portion of what we eat is also to soothe our own selves. So it's not like we only eat when we are hungry. We also eat when we are bored, we eat when we are angry. You see all those Hollywood movies where someone has had a breakup and is sitting with a big bucket of ice cream on the bed and crying and eating. So food is, that's why the relationship with food, sometimes food is our doctor, sometimes food is our mother, sometimes food is our lover, sometimes, food is your friend. Food should always be your friend and never be scared of food. And so you can't just put it in a box that I will only eat a carnivore diet, I'll only, see, vegan diet, people do it because certain ethical issues and whatever it is they're following. But it's not sustainable in the long run because almond milk is more unsustainable than dairy. Dairy, anyway, India has so many cattle. If you stop, if you stop using their milk, it's going to create a lot of other issues because if they are using a certain hectare of land for the livestock, then you have to make the full use of it, given how our country is. But almond milk in California, they are taking gallons of water from somewhere else and transporting it there and, trying to grow those almond trees, which are extremely water intensive. They need a ton of water to grow. And then you're taking that milk and somewhere it's coming to India, and then we're feeling very happy that it's sustainable. So we can't do such things, that is not feasible in the long run. And also, having a high carnivore type diet is like you're not getting your protein, you're not getting your fiber, you're going to lose out on a lot of other nutrients, satiety factor that comes only from eating grains. This is not, I don't advocate it at all. So that's just my view. And in food, everybody has their own view, and I can't, tell people that this is BS. I have to, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, you can take a question.
Hello, thank you, Dr. Nandita. This is very helpful, and I'm looking forward to reading your book. I am Sunana, author of Dalit Feminist Theory.
Nice to
I have
meet you.
three questions, but the quickest is your view on BMI, and second on intermittent fasting, and third is a little serious that recent surveys data show that Dalit women lives they live almost 20 years less than upper caste women
Okay.
in India. So. Uh, so do you think that if we provide proper nutrition, then these social inequalities, I mean the health issues and the death rates in the marginalized section could be improved, and how, to what extent can that be helped?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yo, thank you. I'll try to just answer the third question because I'm sure the first two are, all over the place, and it's a very valid question. And since the theme is inclusion
Yes.
for the event, I would rather take that. I think it's indeed very sad, and I think the lifespan that you're saying it's 10 years less than the average, 20 years less. Sorry, I think it's partly because of not having easy access for healthcare, or the healthcare professionals not giving them the kind of care that they need, or not prioritizing their needs. That could be one. I'm just speculating here, to be honest. I don't claim to have any knowledge or research in this space. And also, thirdly, it could be the lack of awareness among these women themselves, where they have not, they are not aware that, hey, this is a symptom I should take seriously, or, this is a pain that also maybe living in harsher circumstances, these women are also being more higher tolerance for pain or any discomfort, which an urban woman, like a slightest headache, we may run to the doctor. But, they may not take their symptoms more seriously, that they need to show it to a doctor. So I think a kind of basic understanding of health and health related issues and nutrition at a grassroots level may go a long way in them just knowing that, hey, I'm getting some pain here, it could be something heart related, and maybe I need to see a doctor, or I'm bleeding too much and this is not normal. So knowing what is normal and not normal, I think some kind of education at the grassroots level will go a long way. And also sensitizing the healthcare facilities which are catering towards these people, and how they may not, a lot of times there's a lack of communication, certain gynecological issues or something else, they may not express as openly as an urban woman. And if a doctor is trained in the urban setting, they may not understand what they are trying to say in a more masked way, or a more hints that, I'm suffering from this. So I feel like both ways, training and helping them understand each other could go a long way in reducing this.
Anyone
Thank you.
else?
Thank you so much. Do we have another question, or should we proceed to end? You have the last question? Okay. Yes, we can do the last question, and then, yes, let's conclude.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Rajesh Manvatkar. I'm a practicing orthopedic surgeon here in Nagpur.
Hello,
I don't have a question per se, but I have a comments to make.
Okay.
Diet, I think what we eat is only the 50% of it. But the remaining 50% is you have to get involved in regular physical activity, right? It is 100%. Both things make 100%. It is not the either way. There are many people you'll see who are fasting tremendously to maintain good length, but that is not good. And there are many people who are only doing exercise without proper diet, so that is also not good. To maintain good health, you need to combine both these, okay? So, and your question, how I can be fit, means not yesterday and today, but you can compare in 3-4 months. The basic parameter is the body mass index, what she was talking about. Body mass index is a very crude parameter, basic people can understand. It's a simple relation of height and weight. And there are many apps also now, which I download on my phone, and I tell to the patient also, you can also do it. It's just a simple relation with the height and weight, and it will show you whether your BMI is normal or not. Particularly after COVID, and for your age group, I have seen
Sorry,
many...
sorry to interject, but we can have this discussion later with him specifically,
okay,
because his
It
age
is
group is so
12.
important.
Just one point I
like
want to make. Just
Cinderella,
one point I want to make. The genes of the South Indian populations, we are very bad on that. If you compare two groups of population over the globe, the people who develops diabetes sooner are the Indian population or the West population. Yes, sir.
Any which way, I hope you all had a great session with ma'am. So let's have a huge round of applause for her, everybody.
Thank you.
I would also like to tell you that her books are for sale at Crossword down in the lawn. And I would really recommend that you buy. I know you want to ask, ma'am, मैं खाऊं क्या? But इस session में इतना ही. So I would request our volunteer, Jasmine, to get a one-of-a-kind painting made for ma'am by Bhavika Kabra from Alag Angle community. She's specifically made this for our author today. And we wish she could be here, but she's not. But so let's show that to our readers as well. That's a one-of-a-kind painting made for ma'am. Beautiful. Thank you everybody for being here.